Maseches Eruvin daf Ayin Zayin. There's a tremendous discussion in the poskim about what's the halacha if you have kalim that was shavis in one house and there was no eruv, and you took the kalim to a different house, but often that it was mutter. Let's say you wore begodim and brought them into a different house. Are you allowed to move the begodim around al amis in the other rishos? Do you say, since these kalim weren't shavis in the second chatzah that you brought it to, so therefore it's lo yozos b'mekaymai? Or no, that since you brought it there but if in heter, there's nothing wrong with being metaltal in the second rishos? The opinion of the Evan Oizer and Bekvege is that it's also letaltal, you can't move it around in the other rishos. However, the Chazon Ish and the Beis Meir and the Bialocha Paskins that it's mutter letaltal in the second rishos. And the Bekvege brings a raya that it's also from a Ritvar in our sugya. The Ritvar writes that the Mishnah says that if you have a koisel between two chatzeirot that's 10 tefachim high and 4 tefachim wide, and there was on top of it peiros elu oilim mekan va'oichlin ve'elu oilim mekan va'oichlin, and the Gemara says that if it will be less than 4 tefachim wide, you lo yozos b'mekaymai. On that Ritva says that it must be talking about that there was an eruv between the bottom and the chatzeirot, because if there wouldn't have been an eruv between the bottom and the chatzeirot, and we're talking about kalim sheshovsu b'bayis, and you brought them out on top of the wall, even if the wall would be 4 tefachim wide, you can't be mazes. You can't move the kalim on top of the wall. So Kvega says, why is it that you can't move these kalim on top of the wall? It must be that since these kalim were shavis in the bias and there's no eruv, so therefore, since they leave the bias that they were shavis, you can't move it in a different chutz. And over here, since the wall is Rishus shel Shneim, so therefore the loch is lo yozos b'mekaymai. The Chazon Ish says that the Ritva Ozlav Davka, and Ayin Beis Meir, and Kvega, they have Chalifei Mechtovim back and forth about this Inyan, Va'ayin Shom. Moving further on, the Gemara in the base says that if you have an itztaba, if you have a platform that's 4 by 4, it's memayit the koisel from 10 tefachim high. Toises understands that means that it's therefore you ma'arv in echad, the fact that there's a platform that lowers the height of 10 tefachim on the koisel, it's ma'arv in echad. Toises asks, why is it the ma'arv in echad? Why is it different than halacha by a sulam that's by a ladder? It's before in the Gemara daf Ayin Ches that it's only memayit the wall to Eruvin echad if the ladder gets to the top of the wall. So over here, if you have a platform that's dalet al dalet that doesn't get to the top of the wall, how could it be considered like a pesach on the wall to be Eruvin echad even though it doesn't get to the top of the wall? Taisa says two tirutzim. One is that since over here it's dalet al dalet, therefore even though it doesn't go to the top of the wall, it has a din of a pesach. However, by a sulam, by a ladder, it's not 4 by 4, it's just 4 tefachim wide. Therefore, it has to get to the top of the wall to be ma'arvin echad. So he says a different teretz that we need the ladder to go to the top of the wall is because it's a sulam she'ena kavua. The Rosh brings a different teretz that the Morris over here is not talking about ma'arvin echad. It's discussing the halacha of Noisin, you give the top of the wall since one side of the wall has a platform, it's considered tashmisha benachas, so therefore only he could be mishtamish with the top of the wall and not the other side. The Shulchan Aruch paskins like this Rosh, the Evan Oizer asks on the Shulchan Aruch a tremendous kasha. He says, how could it be that there's a tzad that in such a situation when you have a platform in the middle of the wall, it's not ma'arvin echad? He says the fact that there's a platform in the middle of the wall should definitely be memayit the wall and make it ma'arvin echad. And he brings many rayas. One of the rayas is he brings from a Trumas Hadesh and brought in Simon Shin and Ches that we spoke out on Daf Chav Dalid, that Trumas Hadesh writes that if you have a karka from V'isa Beis Hasayim Shlo Yehuk of the Dira, and you have to be chatzeirot, you have to break the wall to make it hukaf ledira. Trumas Deshen writes, you don't have to break down the wall. You could put dirt on the side of the wall in a situation that you'll have less than 10 tefachim from the top of the dirt to the wall, and the fact it's less than 10 tefachim there, that makes it as if the wall is broken. So the Even Oizer asks that if, when you have dirt on the side of the wall, is considered broken, so when you have it itztava, when you have a platform on the side of the wall, is also could be considered like a break in the wall and should be considered ma'arvin echad. I in the Sefer Mudei Shleimah from Mismesh Gavoya and Oil Shmuel from Chaburas Dirshu that we said b'siyat Tishmayat mahalach to answer the Even Oizer's kasha on Shulchan Aruch. That be'emes it's mavur in many places, and then we spoke out in previous shiurim that it's choluk be'ikar yisoid gidrom, a mechitza between Rishus HaYochid and Rishus HaRabim, and a mechitza to avoid two Rishus HaYochids. That a mechitza between Rishus HaYochid and Rishus HaRabim does not only divide the Drisas HaRegel from Rishus HaYochid to Rishus HaRabim, but the mechitza makes the Rishus HaYochid into Rishus HaYochid. A Rishus HaYochid needs a mechitza that's going to the Mokum. And we find like that in Ritvon Daf Chav Aleph. The Ritvon says that you need, in order to be considered Rishus HaYochid, you have to be able to see the mechitza in the middle of Rishus HaYochid. So if the mechitza is just a way to divide the Rishus, why do you have to see it in the middle? Another raya is from the one of Tesvav Oman Aleph that has a hapamina, that a mechitza medis me'elav is not a mechitza. If the mechitza is just to be mechalik between the two Rishus, and why shouldn't it be a good mechitza if it's oimed me'elav? So you see from these rayas that a mechitza between Rishus HaRabim and Rishus HaYochid makes the Rishus HaYochid into Rishus HaYochid. However, between two Rishus HaYochids, obviously it's not making the Rishus into Rishus, it's just dividing the two Rishus. So according to this, we have to understand what is the beer of the Divrei Trumas Hadeshen. The Goin asks on the Trumas Hadeshen and Siman Shin and Ches that why is, when you put dirt next to the wall, is it considered like it's not a mechitza? Lachas gidut chamisha, mechitza chamisha is mitzdarf to be considered a mechitza. Tzarchian, what's the beer of the machlokes? Ayin the beer halacha that says that yesh la'ayin. What's halacha gidut chamisha, mechitza chamisha when the gidut chamisha is further than 3 tvachim away from the koisel. If the gidud is more than 3 tvachim away, is it mitzdarf to the koisel or not? So the Biur Halacha says that the goyin is mashma, even if it's more than 3 tvachim away, it is mitzdarf. However, he says it could be that the Trumas Hadeshen Gufa argues on that if it's more than 3 tvachim away, it's not mitzdarf and doesn't come part of the koisel. So the beer hamachloikis could be totally in the Yesod of Reb Chaim. The Reb Chaim says that the sheer asara of mechitza is not a sheer in the gufa mechitza, it's a sheer in the rishus. That there's a loch, the rishus has to be 10 tefachim, and you need a mechitza that's going to the rishus of 10 tefachim. So the chayre in that is gufa machlokes Trumas Hadeshen and the goyin. The goyin understands that the shear of mechitza asar is not in the gufa mechitza; it's just the shear in the rishus. So since the mechitza itself doesn't need 10 tefachim, so therefore you can connect even further than 3 tefachim away 2 areas to make it 10 tefachim, and through that this area has a mechitza hagoydroi. However, the Trumas Hadeshen holds that the sheer mechitza asar is in the gufa mechitza. So therefore you need within 3 tvachim the gidut chamisha mechitza chamisha. So according to that, that's specifically by Rishus HaYochid to Rishus HaRabim, then there's a sheer yud in the gufa mechitza. However, between 2 rishuyas, there's definitely no din in the gufa mechitza that has to have a sheer asar tvachim. So therefore the Trumas Hadeshen will agree that between 2 rishuyas, there's no shear in the guf hamechitza of 10 tvachim. So therefore, you could combine a gidut chamisha and a mechitza chamisha. So it answers beautifully the Even Oizer's kasha that in our case over here, that we have a platform, since it's between 2 rishuyas and there's no shear in the guf hamechitza, that has to be asar tvachim. So therefore, it could combine mechitza gidut chamisha and mechitza chamisha, even if it's more than 3 tvachim away from each other.